Now, there are lots of things that could accost you in the Scottish Highlands. Swarms of midges, those things bite. Overweight American tourists. Or Nicola Sturgeon cruising around in her expensive SNP-sponsored camper van. But this week, the real threat was a macaque monkey, which escaped King Uzzy Zoo in Scotland. The animal was promptly nicknamed King Uzzy Kong, and like the aforementioned Scottish First Minister, had done a runner. How was the creature eventually caught? The monkey, not Nicola Sturgeon. Well, a smart Scottish homeowner lured the primate, not with haggis, neeps and tatties, or a wee dram of Scottish malt. She used homemade Yorkshire puddings. That's right. Good to see Scots still eating English food. The union is safe. So who could resist a bit of Yorkshire pudding, especially if you pour gravy into the middle of it? Meanwhile, the dozy zookeeper who let the monkey escape has been given a Sunday roast. The creature is now back in captivity. Sadly, the same cannot be said for Mrs. Sturgeon. Meanwhile, the popular Muppet character Elmo was busy on social media this week, asking his many Twitter followers how everyone's doing. That's the latest fashion, isn't it? Lewis Oakley, how are you doing? How's everyone feeling? Well, the answer, it seems, is not great, with thousands of users sharing their grief and despair at life. Several celebrities joined the Moan Fest. A YouTube star called Steve McInerney, no, me neither, said the world is burning around us, and the actress Rachel Zegler said she was kind of sad. Even President Joe Biden got involved, skipping his 4-hour afternoon nap to talk about mental well-being. Blimey, he can talk. Now, if you have serious mental health issues, it is massively important to reach out for help. We can all agree on that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's important. But things aren't that bad, are they? Are they as bad as they were in 1940, when German bombs rained over London, Liverpool, Hull, Birmingham and Cardiff? Remember the good old days when we adopted a positive outlook, understood that life was hard and just got on with it? Like the puppeteer that's got his hand up Elmo's backside, we all need to get a grip. Now, moving on. Rather than sorting out weekly bin collections, antisocial behaviour and fixing potholes, Hertfordshire Council are issuing fines to people having a wee on quiet country roads. Now, this cruel new policy targets drivers of heavy goods vehicles in particular, who are desperate to spend a penny. They've got to go somewhere. With scores of local councils facing bankruptcy and public services getting worse, whatever happened to local government? And is this the most important thing that they could be focusing on? With ordinary Brits choosing a discreet location to relieve themselves in the countryside, this policy is quite literally taking the pee. Motor racing news, and Formula One's Lewis Hamilton, the fastest vegan on planet Earth, is set to leave the Mercedes team and join Ferrari. The championship-winning driver who left the UK to live in Monaco, nothing to do with the tax regime over there, he just loves the views, has signed a £100 million deal to race for the Italian car maker for 2 years. Now, that's a lot of money, isn't it, to pay someone to drive around in a car? Forget about Silverstone or Abu Dhabi. I'd like to see how Hamilton navigated the Birmingham Ring Road on a bank holiday weekend, or the variable speed limit on the M1, which makes a trip to the Midlands feel like a 19th century voyage. And I'll be honest, an uninsured minicab driver would run rings around Lewis Hamilton all day long. Years ago, I took a dodgy taxi to a nightclub at 1 a.m, and I think we broke the land speed record. In a Vauxhall. Beat that, Ferrari. Whilst French farmers continue to lay siege on Paris over mad environmental costs and stifling red tape, French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte attended a lavish gala dinner in Stockholm in the company of the King and Queen of Sweden. The likes of Macron may now be enjoying foie gras and fillet steak. But let me warn you, folks, soon he'll be eating humble pie and getting his just desserts. The out-of-touch elite will fall. Bring popcorn. And last but not least, it's back to the former Scottish First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, who's not great with technology, is she? She's deleted all of her WhatsApp messages from the pandemic. Oh no! What a shame, because without them, she can't be fully held to account for her response to COVID. Can you imagine the anger if it was Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak who deleted the evidence? But the grilling at the COVID inquiry did see Sturgeon burst into tears, either overwhelmed at the burden of having been First Minister during a pandemic, or suddenly realising, as her compatriot Andrew Neil points out on Twitter this week, that her reputation is in tatters. I'll be honest, if I was the First Minister that had used COVID to push the case for independence and been in charge as a male double rapist was accommodated in a female prison, if I was Scottish First Minister presiding over the highest drug deaths in Europe and abruptly resigning amid a financial scandal around my own party, I'd probably be a little tearful too. Which means that tonight's Top 10 countdown is famous people bursting into tears in public. Yes, it's our Top 10 celebrity waterworks, starting with number 10 and... Gemma Collins, reality star, first day on I'm a Celebrity, reduced her to tears. If she'd had to see Nigel Farage naked, she'd have been crying for a fortnight. How about this at number 9? Theresa May, reduced to tears when resigning. We think that's it anyway, but couldn't hear her over all the champagne corks popping.
Mean.
So unkind. Bring her back, all is forgiven. How about number 8, Sam Smith, crying during lockdown? Who could blame him? A couple of months in a large mansion would destroy anyone. By the way, I hope it didn't say he. I'll be cancelled for that. They, them. A definite man is Paul Gascoigne at number 7, reduced to tears as he picked up a booking which would have ruled him out of the World Cup final. Not unusual to see a footballer dribbling. Number 6, Kim Kardashian crying over a lost diamond in the sea. We've all been there. Number 5, Margaret Thatcher, the Iron Lady on her last day in office, showing her softer side. And we were crying too when John Major turned out to be her replacement. In at number 4, remember this guy? Sports superstar Michael Jordan, crying after being inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. He wasn't crying, though, when he saw the Nike Air Jordan trainer sales figures that would ultimately make him a billionaire. Tears of joy, more like. In at number 3, Gwyneth Paltrow, crying after receiving her Oscar for Shakespeare in Love. She cried during the acceptance speech. We cried at having to sit through the film.
It's a terrible film.
So
How did it
boring.
win? How did it win an Oscar? Terrible film.
I tell you, it was just a bore fest, wasn't it? In fact, even Shakespeare was embarrassed. Number 2, Madeline Grant, Meghan Markle, Duchess of Sussex, at the Queen's funeral. Now, is this a genuine example of emotion or more evidence of her excellent acting abilities? You tell me. And last but not least, in at number 1, former Health Secretary Matt Hancock crying on national television as the first vaccines were rolled out. They told us it was just a little prick, and Matt can definitely identify with that. And that is my Friday Big Opinion.